Welcome to Introducing RegEx. Now you have two problems. Hey, my name is Eric, and in this video we're going to look at something known as regular expressions, or RegEx for short. And it's often is a quite feared subject when it comes to computer science, and the title of the video is kind of an old standing joke made by I think it was a Netscape guy, like many years ago, where somebody had a problem. Let's use RegEx. Now you have two problems because RegEx is kind of complicated, but it's also very powerful. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Because if you were browsing the AL apps extension source code lately, you'll have seen that we actually got a RegEx module in Business Central now. I think they came in 17.1 or thereabout. Maybe it was already. I think it was in 17.1. So now we have RegEx available in Business Central. We had some sort of RegEx before that was pseudo. There were some objects with .NET wrapper, and some of them works and some of them didn't work depending on what function in them you needed to use and so on. So that was kind of useless. But this is actually useful. So what I have done is actually I have created a small, let me start from the start here. I have created a small app. If you've seen some of my other videos, and hopefully you have, and hopefully that's because you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe, and then thank you. You've seen that, for instance, I've created a JavaScript workbench. So somewhere where you can work interactive with something. What I truly enjoy when doing any sort of development programming is to make sure that my developer's inner loop, as it's called, is as tight as possible. What do I mean by that? I mean that I write some code, I compile, I deploy, I test, I debug, I write some more code, compile, deploy, test, and the faster this inner loop is, the more efficient am I. So if every time I need to deploy, it takes a long time. Every time I need to compile, it takes a long time, and it's freaking complicated to actually see the result of what you're doing, then that's not fun. So I enjoy creating these workbench kind of scenarios where you can play around with a certain technology, certain pattern, and I've done the same here. So let me show you what I have. I have a page. The page has a input data field. So I'll get to RegEx in a minute. An input data field, a pattern data, and then a part where you can see the results. And basically the RegEx stuff is all here. There's more than this, but to get you going with RegEx, this is kind of what you need. There's a code unit called RegEx, and there's a match function. So let's talk about what RegEx actually is. Let me run this. Here we go. So the idea is that you search for something. Let's say this is a test where I purchased a banana for 10.25 on the 3rd of May 2020. Something like that. This is data, right? And let's say that I want to search for, I want to find test, the word test in this. And actually, let's put that in twice just to make. Let's do for testing and paid. So now we have something. Now we have some data, right? So let's say if I say that my pattern that I want to search for is just called test. I run this, and you can see that I get 2 results. I get at index 10 and index 46, length 4, I get a match. This is great. Be aware. Let me actually get this out of the way so I don't forget it. Be aware that when we get the data back in something called matches, so there's a table now called matches. It's 0 indexed. So if I say that what I want to search for is this, we get it at index 0 of the string. But index 0 does not exist in a Business Central string that's index 1. So it's kind of sloppy from Microsoft perspective that they choose to have the RegEx module be 0 indexed on strings. But anyway, you know it now, so you can deal with it. Well, and while I'm at the griefs, then having a table name in plural is not Business Central Navision like at all. You can have a page that's plural, but not the name of the table. But anyway, sorry, that was my review of the new source code. If I had done a code review on that, I would have pointed those 2 things out. Anyway, let's get back to what RegEx is all about. So I do test, I do match, I get 2 matches. So at this point, it's fair common say, hey Eric, I could do the same thing with a string find a string pose, string position. That's not really very advanced what you're doing right now. No, but it's actually a quite important point that what I'm doing now is that I'm asking that I'm looking for the pattern of a T, an E, and an S, and a T. So that's a pattern. So let's say that I want to look for something else. Let's say that I want to look for, and this is where, let me actually show you, by the way, because you want to, like this, I use a website called RegEx 101, which is great because it's kind of a workbench, just like we did here, but also with a manual built in. So again, we can do the exact same thing here. We take this one, we take this, sorry, I need to put down here, not up here. And then you can see, no, you can't. Ay, caramba, that was not the, let me see if I can get this into your view. My big head was totally blocking that. But there's like a reference thing here, so we can we can look at different options. So we could ask for ditches, meaning saying \D, and then we get digits. We could say digits between 1 and 2, and we get a match. So but as you see, this is very interactive, and the workbench I have here is kind of the same, but you have to hit match. So now we ask to see \d, meaning that now we're only looking at digits, and I took the curly brackets and said 1,2, meaning that I need to have 1 or 2 digits before that. So you can see that I get a match now for 10 and 25 and 13 and 20 and 20, because those are match. When I don't get a match, and that's kind of also interesting, I don't get a match for 02 because the 2020 covers the other, it's already covered. So the matching do run through the string. I could say that I want, let's say that I want at least 4. Then I only get a match on 2020. So what about, let's say that I want a slash and a 2020. We can find that also. So if I write 2020 now here, or 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's just 4 digits, I don't get a match because I ask that there should be a slash in front of it. If I remove that, well, then I get 2 matches. I both get the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2020. So you can see now we can start to build a pattern. And so now we could say, okay, let's build a decimal pattern. So we want, let's say, 1 till 9 digits. So we get all the digits, but then we want a dot. Let's say that we do want a dot, and then we want some 1 to, or perhaps we always want 2 digits in our definition of what we're searching for. And sometimes you need to put a backslash before something, because a dot is a control character. So now you can see our pattern is getting slightly more complicated now. So now we're saying any number of digits and a dot and then 2 digits. That's a number. And now you can see that this gets to the point where you start keeping a notebook of good expressions. And I've done the exact same thing. And I've actually put my notebook into the app here. So we can see that here's my definition of a decimal. So let's try that and see if that still works. So in this case, the definition says that the decimal part is optional, so we do get more matches, but this one will also catch if there's like a minus in front of it. So now we also get, there's 2 things with RegEx. I should have probably started with this. I'm sorry. One is to check whether something is matching a pattern. Let me show you another example. I'll just put this one into the, let me just off screen. I'm gonna keep a notepad with that text so I don't have to type it in. So now I will put in my email address. And let's see if we can find, I think that's a nasty one. I do believe I had one in here somewhere. Maybe not. There it is. This guy. So this guy is let's see. We got a match, meaning that this tells that we need something that has letters and numbers, and then the @sign, and then there's a lot of rules on how you can build up a build up the domain part of the DNS part of an email address. But a pattern like this can, of course, both be used to my email is, and you can totally email me to locate that, but it can also be used to validate, meaning that is like input validation. If people type an email address and you actually want them to type something that is probably a valid email address, you can run it through this thing. And if you get a match, hey, then it's actually an email. Let's go back to the other one for a second here. Another thing is, like in this case, the date. Let's see, I think I have in my matches a date. Actually, I think this is the text here is wrong because I have said that this should be words. So this one will probably match the date. We could modify and say, okay, this one says we need some digits, then some sort of separator. Then in this case, we need 3 letters, but let's actually make that, change that into we want between 1 and 2 digits, then some sort of a separator. So the square bracket means that one of these, and then I guess we can actually say that there's no years with 1, so we have to either be from 2 to 4. So now we can do December of 13 or something, a month that doesn't exist if you're. So now we get a match on that. So I think that this is actually a pretty good pattern to look at. So some digits, some separator, more digits, separator, more digits. And what I had was, okay, let's do the month thing where it has to be like February 13, and then we get a match for that. So to use, let me see the time. Yeah, sorry. Let me round this up. I'm gonna put this thing I have here on the GitHub, so you can see the address down below, so you have a chance to go play with it yourself. Currently, it only works in 17. At least I'm running 17.2 here, but it might work in 17.1. I think that's the case, that it will. But what I have found, and you can see, and I'll put all the ones I have here with them. Matches the valid latitude and longitude, and there's tons of good things, and there's some really cool cool rules with, you can see that, okay, you want something that's after something else, and or in front of something, and then there is a lot of cool things. So don't be afraid of RegEx. RegEx can be very intimidating, and especially because people who get something like the email one I showed with this long and really complicated to read and figure out. But it don't have to be. A simple match is often all you need, and then you can work from there. There's tons of resources on it, like the regex101.com and others. But it's a really powerful tool to avoid getting into some complicated code to try to verify if there is an email or if there is a number inside a string and you need to extract it. As soon as you're into that territory, this is the tool, and it's really powerful, but also intimidating. So I would love to hear one of the crazy RegEx expression you have created in the comments below. Just let me see what you come up with. But anyway, I'll put the app up on GitHub, so you can play with it, and hopefully you'll use some RegEx in your code in the future. With that, have a lovely evening, and here's pitch. black night in British Columbia, and it's raining and storming outside, but there's snow on the mountain, so I will go snowing soon. I will go skiing soon. Take care, guys. See ya.